Welcome to the Gilgal Sculpture Garden. Over 70 handmade sculptures dating all the way back to 1947 and all made by one dude. Okay, it all starts in the 1950s with a guy named Thomas Child Jr., who at the age of 57 decided, hey man, I'm gonna start putting a whole bunch of sculptures in my yard. Child was also a bishop in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and was passionate about the Book of Mormon. What better way to express his passion than through rock work? So the only problem was, Child was a worker. He was a professional mason worker and contractor. He wasn't a trained artist, so he kind of figured it out as he went. Where's his head, man? Using all sorts of stuff. He used hand tools, he used water, he even used an acetylene torch. This thing right here. Don't touch it because I just broke it. When you consider how long this stuff has been here and how long it went unmaintained and pretty much just left out in the elements, the fact that he just did it on his own, just as a hobby, and that it still looks this good, that's pretty impressive. So he passes away in 1967.
He was actually died in 1963.
Says here 67.
Yeah, it was 63.
Well, whatever. And that's when the urban legends and the myths start. Remember, this was not a public park. This is like the dude's backyard. There was no public access. It all kind of became overgrown and unused. You know, I was in high school in the 90s, and me and my friends would sneak in here, and we got caught once. And I had to go home and explain to my parents. My mom and dad were both like, oh, I know exactly where that is. Because they had gotten caught sneaking in here in the 60s and 70s. So you have generations of vandals sneaking into the Gilgal Garden. And that's the thing, right? Like, imagine you're 16 years old and you're in this overgrown dude's, you know, it's like just a yard, and you come across this dude with bricks for pants.
It'll scare the pants off ya.
Really? It reminds me a lot of when we went to Allen Park. It's now public, and I kind of still feel like I'm sneaking in. So right about the year 2000, the family decided they were gonna either sell the property or fix it up. They weren't quite sure what to do. There was talk of a Canadian company coming in and building an apartment complex, because everybody knows that's what Salt Lake needs, is more apartment buildings. That's when Hortense Child Smith came in. She was the widow of the original sculptor's son. She formed the Friends of Gilgal Foundation, which raised more than $600,000 to restore the original property. So let's see, you had $100,000 from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, you had $100,000 from the Eccles Foundation, $400,000 from Salt Lake County, all raised for this one piece of property, which they immediately turned over to Salt Lake City as a public park. That birdhouse, that's bigger than my first apartment. And like the way Salt Lake real estate is right now, that's like a $900,000 house for birds. Birds. Can somebody please both, one, explain to me why people do this, and then two, convince them to stop? I hate these things. So the garden actually features more than 70 sculptures, and some of them are a little peculiar. Like this one is obviously some sort of soldier. This one is random body parts scattered in the grass. All right, so this thing here, this is the last sculpture that Thomas Child Jr. was working on before he passed away. It's unfinished, and they actually planted an almond tree next to it about a year before he died. A month later, the tree died too. That's eerie. So there you go, the Gilgal Garden, 7th East, 5th South. It's kind of hidden, kind of back behind some houses. The gates are open between 8 and 8, Monday through Monday, 7 days a week. They do a lot of cool stuff here, man, like Easter egg hunts and scavenger hunts and stuff like that. They've got their website online, which I will put right here because I don't know what it is. Like it, subscribe to it, comment below on what you want to see next time on cool stuff in Utah. Okay, is there anything else in here we need to talk about? No? All right. I always walk up to these doors and I knock, like as a joke. Can you imagine how terrified I'd be if like somebody answered? What? What do you want? Ah! Ah!